Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. Well, a Tasmanian teenager has been charged after allegedly assaulting 2 police officers. Authorities claim he stole pepper spray from one constable before attacking another. For more on this, we're joined by reporter Garth Burley. Good evening, Garth. Now, so what is the current condition of the officers?
Good evening, Kim. Both suffered minor injuries after they were allegedly assaulted and had their pepper spray stolen from them by a 19-year-old Mayfield man. They were both taken to Launceston General Hospital in the early hours of this morning. In a bizarre twist, authorities were called to the address by the alleged suspect who wanted to confess to an earlier crime. Quite a bizarre twist. The teenager allegedly fled the scene before police arrived, but returned to the property later in the evening. It's alleged it took 3 officers to finally restrain the teenager, who they say violently resisted arrest. Police say they recovered $5,000 worth of suspected stolen goods from the address. The 19-year-old has been charged with a string of offences, including stealing and aggravated assault. He'll face court again tomorrow. Kim?
Well, emergency department hours will be cut back at the Mersey Community Hospital as authorities struggle to find locums to staff the ward. The state government has been accused of revealing the significant changes under the cover of darkness.
They bore the brunt of Tasmania's virus outbreak. Now Northwest hospitals are facing another fight, finding staff.
COVID is here and we can't ignore the fact that getting locums and medical staff in from Melbourne is not possible at the moment.
The shortage of locums means emergency hours at La Trobe's Mersey Community Hospital are again being cut. From Monday, the department doors will only be open between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Burnt-out staff had been pushing for the shorter hours.
We've had a couple of senior staff need to go off work on leave because of the pressure.
And there's now talk of whether the Mersey can even sustain an emergency department in the future.
I think it seriously has to be considered. I think, you can provide the funding, but if you can't recruit the staff, that's a problem.
In Parliament, Labor launched a blistering attack over the decision, questioning why the government didn't reveal it at a COVID update.
Instead, you made the announcement in a press release at 9:30 p.m. last night.
Sarah Courtney says time was needed to inform busy staff. She's fiercely rejected calls to name a date for a full reopening.
We want that ED open 24 hours, but we're not going to do it when it's not safe.
And in a rare piece of positive COVID news, a Hobart family is at last back in Australia after being stranded in the Philippines since March.
Just glad we're on Australian soil now. Been stuck over there in lockdowns for this amount of time, 5.5 months, that's pretty ordinary.
They'll have to complete 2 weeks of quarantine in Sydney, with another 2 weeks likely awaiting them in Tasmania. But for now, they're just happy to almost be home. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
The Greens are demanding the state government rule out cuts to child safety services following concerns raised in a leaked email. They claim staff have been told of plans to reduce support programs in areas including therapy and mentoring.
We have information that child safety workers are being asked to cut costs, and these are for really important therapies for at-risk children, like for children who've experienced trauma.
The government says the claims are wrong and services will not be reduced. A 15-year-old has been arrested and charged with multiple offences, while 2 other offenders are yet to be located after items were stolen from a Bridgewater hotel. Tasmania Police say 3 people entered the Derwent Tavern around 12:30 yesterday morning, stealing alcohol and cigarettes. A quantity of those items were recovered following a series of searches. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. A 41-year-old man has been charged after allegedly failing to give way to a train at Oaklands early this morning. Police say the driver of the Holden Commodore stopped at the tracks but then kept driving and was clipped by a Tasrail train pulling 30 freight wagons. Tasrail says the incident highlights the importance of due care at crossings, reminding all drivers to give way. The man is due to face court in January. Plans are underway to build a life-size statue of Tasmanian war hero Edward Teddy Sheehan in his hometown of La Trobe. Last week, it was revealed the Ordinary Seaman's bravery is set to be honoured with a Victoria Cross, the highest military honour. As well as a statue, the Veterans Affairs Minister has written to the federal government asking for the submarine, the HMAS Sheehan, to be gifted to Tasmania when it's decommissioned.
This would be a great opportunity to recognise Latrobe, where Teddy grew up, and also provide a fantastic tourism opportunity and an educational opportunity for the region.
On top of that, the idea of a Teddy Sheehan scholarship and education package are also being considered. Regional towns on Tasmania's west coast are now better connected thanks to the completion of a major mobile network overhaul. The $5 million Telstra project was switched on at Tulla today, bringing 4G coverage to the town for the first time. The new service will also bring online a much-needed upgrade to services from Waratah to Strawn. A device being used across the state to track domestic violence perpetrators is returning promising results, according to Tasmania Police. An independent review is now underway into whether the ankle bracelet should be rolled out permanently.
This piece of technology being used to track high-risk offenders under a family violence order.
And over a 17-month period, we have had 73 perpetrators participate in the trial, as well as 21 victims who opted into voluntary monitoring.
The device allows for early intervention as it monitors a perpetrator's location, ensuring they don't enter areas where victims live or work, sending a GPS signal to authorities alerted if boundaries are breached.
The effectiveness of electronic monitoring undoubtedly enhances the safety of victims of family violence and their children across Tasmania.
Victims too can choose to carry a duress device to alert police.
Then that indicates to our monitoring compliance unit that a victim may need some assistance.
We're always looking for tools to deal with family violence, and this is just another one in our toolbox.
The technology part of a 2-year trial. Preliminary results looking promising. Police reporting a 7% reduction in total family violence incidents and an 82% reduction in high-risk incidents.
We've also had notable decreases in assaults of 70%, and over a 17-month period we didn't have one report of stalking.
As well as helping victims feel safer, information can help in court cases for evidence.
No one should have to put up with any sort of violence in their home.
A final report from an independent review is due later this year. Louise Hubar, 7 Tasmania News.
And for anyone seeking support, you can contact 1-800-RESPECT or, in a personal crisis, Lifeline. Hobart's historic waterways are in the spotlight thanks to a new community project. The Clarence Council has unveiled the first in a series of new markers to commemorate the area's once busy ferry network. It's now hoped the installations will bolster the council's push for a commuter vessel to operate across the River Derwent.
They were running roughly every half hour or so, so you could live here without a bridge and actually have a pretty decent life hopping back and forth by ferry.
Clarence Council is really keen to get ferries back and forth across the river again as soon as possible, and so hopefully this in some way will remind everyone that ferries have played an important part in the past and will continue to do so in the future.
More of the markers are set to be rolled out in the future. Vibrant sea life shot in the Tamar estuary is hoping to shake its murky reputation. The stunning stills on display at QV Mag feature creatures like soft coral and giant kelp, which have all been found in the estuary's lower reaches. Curator and underwater photographer David Maynard hopes he can change the perceptions of those who wade through the gallery.
Hopefully they'll go away and say, who would have thought, like the Tamar's quite healthy and it's not a dead system, and maybe they'll learn to love those mud flats and wetlands and understand a little bit more about how the system functions.
The curator also wants to start a conversation around how to care for the Tamar going forward after silt raking was abandoned last year. 2 activists from the Bob Brown Foundation have been arrested after protests at a West Coast mine site. The group took a stand at the proposed Riley Creek iron ore mine, with one person latching onto the front gate while another was chained to machinery. Police say all others obeyed directions to leave. The Greens believe it's time to abandon plans for the mine.
There's a lot more jobs in protecting the Tarkine and promoting the Tarkine than there is in trashing it.
Authorities are yet to lay charges.
Former Gold Coast Sun Mackenzie Willis is back where it all began. He's lining up for his junior club, Kingborough, for the first time in 5 years. Mackenzie Willis is back in yellow and black, and it feels like a homecoming too.
A lot of young faces when I left are now men, and they're playing senior footy, which is really good to see as well. So also learning a lot of new names as well in saying that.
Willis managed 5 games at the Suns, but while injured and caught up in a rapidly changing Gold Coast list, the cruel crunch of the AFL machine came at the end of 2018.
The AFL is a brutal business, really. So it's one of those things where you don't really know until almost the last day where you have that exit interview where it all goes down.
When he came in last night, it brings that bit of energy. Boys are all good to see him, so training was a really good vibe last night.
The lights at Lauderdale will be on Will Poland. It'll be his first game against his old side after admitting,
I wasn't enjoying it as much as I would have liked down at Kingborough, and I've got some really close mates out here.
I'm not sure of the whole circumstances behind him coming to Lauderdale. I know he's got some close friends there, so maybe that was just the reason that he come, but Will's been in outstanding form. He's been great for us.
To netball, Jamie Easter is back after a year-long stint on the sidelines. She injured her ACL the last time she played Kingston and Arrows. Ironically, she makes her return in a double-header against the same 2 teams.
It'll be good to get back on court and get that consistent training in me. So yeah, really looking forward to getting back on court this weekend.
The goal shooter will come up against former teammate Izzy Maskell, who defected to Kingston.
Kingston, we usually do quite well, but it's also a tight contest the whole game, so it'll be one to watch this weekend.
Midweek hockey continues with top 3 teams Derwent and OHA proving just how tight the Premier League race is. The sides fought out a 2-2 draw. Both remain within reach of the minor premiership with 5 wins for the season so far. In the women's, OHA down Derwent 3-1 in the grand final rematch. Sophie McLeod, Madison Brooks and Hannah Richards found the back of the net for OHA, lifting the side to the top of the table. The Tasmanian round of the Australian Off-Road Championship has hit the brakes. The border closure means the Wynyard round, slated for October, is officially off until at least next year. And Stuart McSwain is heading to Tokyo. The King Island distance runner will make his Olympics debut in the 5,000 and 10,000 metre distances.
Good evening. 16 the maximum around the state today, recorded by St Helens. Hobart, Launceston, Burnie and Devonport all 14 degrees. Friendly Beaches 15 today, Bushy Park 14, the Bass Strait Islands 13 and Lowhead 12. Strawn managed 11 and Lyawini 6. Some light shower activity today between 9 and 3, the highest fall 9 millimetres at Mount Reid. We do have cloud with a prefrontal trough near our west coast ahead of a cold front, a patch of cold air ready to cross the state tonight. Low level cloud is over the Southern Ocean and southeast Australia, mid to high cloud streaming over Western Australia. Tomorrow, now this looks a little ominous, a low pressure system right over the state as a cold front moves over Victoria and New South Wales. Plenty to think about there. West northwesterly winds at 20 to 30 knots over the west and north, to 25 knots over the east and at 10 to 20 knots over southern waters, swells to 4 metres in western waters. Strong wind warning between Low Rocky Point and St Helens Point. We also have a minor flood warning for the Macquarie River, a bushwalkers alert for the Western and Central Plateau districts. Hobart, a top of 12 tomorrow with a shower or 2. Morning frost for Huonville, a high of 11 with a shower later, 12 the top for Campania. Launceston 11 degrees with showers for Devonport, just 10 the top and 11 for Georgetown, getting windy there as well. 9 the high for Burnie with showers, 10 the top for Strawn, Wynyard the same, just 11 degrees with showers, and 12 the high for St Helens, maybe a shower or 2, partly cloudy further south, Swansea 12 and Port Arthur 12 degrees. To the weekend and on Saturday, snow to 600 metres, possible small hail and showers mainly over the central, south and east. Hobart expecting 9 degrees. Fine and partly cloudy over the north and northwest on Sunday, a few showers elsewhere. Showers over the west and far south on Monday, falling as snow to 700 metres. 21 are mostly sunny in Perth, showers in Adelaide and Melbourne, a cold showery day in Canberra and a top of 9 just there, and mostly sunny for remaining centres on the North Island. Partly cloudy here on the South Island, Hobart 9 degrees, Launceston 10 and partly cloudy and Devonport 10 as well. Kim, that's the way it's all shaping up.